Yahoo! Prof here. Oh, wait a second. The mic's over here by Pee-Pee. Out of the way, Pee-Pee. Let's see. Can we... There we go. Pee-Pee's in frame. I got a bit of a thirst going on, but I know a lot of you have been asking, and we're finally doing it. And I forgot I have this set up a little bit off to the side here. And what is that? Well, it's what I'm wearing on my head. I didn't get a new cable yet out of the UK. Shipping internationally has been a bit of a beep with all the changes in tariffs and stuff like that. We're also doing this in quite low light. I'm sure you're seeing a ton of noise. I'm just vibing here late at night, you know. But these are the Audio-Technica R70x A's. And we're actually going to compare these to the original R70x. I do also have the Refine, but this is not replacing the Refine. The Refine was like a small offshoot made by APOS Audio. Realistically, it's not even realistically, it's just a different cup, right? That's the only change. That's why I have ergonomic issues with it. I should probably put out the R70x Refine video before this one. Let me see if that's even a possibility, because wow, did I go hard on that one. And what I mean by that is I should probably cut some stuff out of it. Let's see here. R70x, enter. XA, oh yeah, Refine is set to go live. It says 219. Did I already do it? I don't think I did it. Oh, I said I was getting a drink. Got a fresh Pocari sweat here. Well, pee-pee's falling off. Let's take a sneaky peek. But what we're going to do is, I kind of said that these had better soundstage, I believe, in one of the comments. I've just been using them. That was realistically the day I opened these up was probably the only day where I did a direct comparison between these and the original R70Xs or the Refine. And I was using the Refine up until then. But what I found out is I actually prefer for my day-to-day for work using the Sony MV1s, the way that they are ear-shaped. I wonder if that is they're like the tall oval shape, not the circle shape. They also hug your head much better. And at work, I'm very used to using the M1ST. So this is just, I would say it's basically the open back version of it. Let's see here. But so I've been mostly using my M1STs at work. Well, I've pretty much always used those there. At least once I brought a proper DAC amp. And that is actually why we're using the 4mm balanced 4.4mm balanced headphone cable for my Refine. Eventually, I want to get these their own. But it's working. And then I'm going to actually have to use the original XLR cable for the R70X, so they're both running balanced. I believe my XLR to 4.4mm is actually at the office because I used to have my topping DX7S there, which only has XLR. It kind of like, that was back when they were still trying to figure out, are we doing 4.4 millimeter? Or we're doing like mini XLR, or we're doing separate jacks prior to that. Some stuff's 2.5 millimeter. I think Sennheiser's native cable, if I recall correctly. So I need a 2.5 to XLR I had, and then I have also a 2.5 to 4.4 millimeter. If I recall, the Cosses are 3.5 native, but most of the cables go 3.5 to 2.5 because 3.5 balanced, as far as I'm aware, is really not a thing. And this is probably distracting. I'm even noticing it. Yeah, I have blue light blocking glasses. So that's a debate for those of you that are out there that wear glasses also. Do you have an astigmatism? I do. I have gotten used to having the blue light blocking, and it's just nicer in general, color-wise, easier on the eyes, that sort of thing. But this sort of thing, especially when you're looking, like you're watching your big bright TV in the other room, or just bright TV in the other room, you get kind of like a, because of this astigmatism, I get kind of like a reflection, whereas with the anti-glare, I don't get that. So that's something to think about, those of you that actually do wear glasses. Like, I noticed right away, as did some of my friends, because originally you needed, like, I had gunners for doing PC stuff like this. You can go back to some of the real old videos, because they couldn't really put the blue light stuff, or didn't really put the blue light stuff, or didn't have it available in just standard glasses every day. Then I still had my separate gunners and separate glasses, and that was because doing design work, I didn't want the blue light blocking because it will shift the colors of your display. As calibrated as your display is, doesn't matter if like your lens is changing the colors, right? So I still stuck with like a yellow tinted blue light blocking glasses, and then normal glasses. But once I was kind of out of that, and I ended up doing IT as my main job, I can do fine for my personal stuff. Worst case, I still have older glasses, that don't have it. But it is noticeable. But let's see here if we have R70x. So R70x Refine was uploaded January 25th, 2025. Did it go? It's still private. Why did it go private? This is a great question. But what we're going to do in this video, I'll see if I can get that one up sooner. I was wondering what that scratching was. Paisley is actually using her I got her some scratching cardboard things, and she's actually using them correctly. Huzzah. Well, I have no idea why this didn't go live. It is uploaded and ready. Who knows? Apologies there, I guess. I could have had the R70x video up ages ago. I do have a note that says edit it. I don't disagree with that. Because it's me faffing about with headphones for quite substantial amount of time. If any of you want to do timestamps, I don't know. I guess back when I uploaded that, I wasn't in the mood of just let her rip, tater chip, like I am now. So I might reschedule that one to go live at some point. It is a long boy. And over 2 hours. So here, though, what we're going to do is we're going to take these guys right here, and we're going to compare them to the R70xAs that are on my head, because I think that's the more direct comparison. Well, that happened, I guess. That Velcro guy is supposed to stay up in the top of the thing. Maybe I didn't Velcro it down enough. But yeah, in here, I have 2 cables, because I originally had the XLR cable. And then even once I got a DAC amp that did have the 4.4 millimeter, all of my stuff was already XLR. So, but it had both, so that wasn't a concern. Then I did start running into stuff that only had 4.4 mil, and I think I had something that natively had it. So it was, oh, and here's how these fit in here. If you guys want a case for your R70Xs, let's try the R70xAs. A little bit worse fit, I'd say. Probably because the adjustable headband. They're a little bit smaller. For those wondering, I am just above that hole down there. If you see, there's a little bit of solid metal, like right here. So I'm just above. That's where my head is. So maybe about 50%. Oh, there's PP falling again. If you guys know where PP is from, and PEEPY, for those wondering, let me know down below in the comments. But my original XLR cable does have locking connectors that do lock into the Audio-Technica plugs, and that are, I'm pretty sure they're unique to the R70X. There might be some more stuff. Well, obviously there's R70xa. There might be some other stuff from Audio-Technica that uses it now, but back when, at least as far as I'm aware, back when the R70X came out, it was the only one. It was like there were 2 manufacturers of balanced cables for the R70X, and Audio Sound, OIDIO Sound, was the one that I picked up mine from, as the other brand only made it like and only way, and also had their branding all over it, whereas Audio let you, obviously I got this really cool kind of like snake looking yellow paracord braid on there, and they also, by default, and I think they've gone away from that now, but by default, back then it was kind of common for the heat shrink on stuff to have your branding on it. They did have an option to remove that branding, which a lot of the high-end hi-fi stuff didn't at the time. Like, they want their stuff plastered all over it. I'm like, no, I'm paying you way more to, why would I want that, right? And they didn't have that, and they let you customize it too. So I like, a lot of you are going to be like, that's an incredibly short cable. Well, I do not want the 18-foot cables. This is, here it's doubled over, you know. So I think this is a 4-foot. Nowadays I do prefer a 5. And how I found that out is the cable on the Sony's. Basically the M1ST, if you want a balanced connector, I think there might be one other option, but originally Wagness, I believe it is, it was the only one that had the 4.4 mil locking, or sorry, not 4.4 mil, 3.5 millimeter balance screw-on locking connector. I could get a non-balanced, In fact, Audio Sound actually made one for me for my Sony 7520s. Using my connector. And I did use the OEM Sony cable for the M1STs for, I don't know, a year to 2 years. Actually, it might be longer than that. Basically, from when the M1ST came out, I just bought one immediately because that was the only one that fit until the MV1 came out. And then when the MV1 came out, I noticed, because I was like moving it over, and I noticed like, oh, holy crap, this is worn rings into it because it's like spun. And the Sonys really do, if you don't want to wear out the connectors on your cables on the headphone end, they really do need the like screw-on locking thing. And at the time, Wagness, they made it for the M1ST. I don't know, maybe a year or so into its life, they actually have the connectors custom made. And those are 5 foot. So this guy's, it's fine where my DAC amp is, but I can't really move. So if I back up at all or like turn or something, if I turn too far, and this is not my normal setup down here. I say that after having been down here for 2 years, but eventually back to the office setup. And I guess the 4 foot was a little bit more manageable there because usually my DAC amp is right off to the side here on my left, like it's under over here just out of camera shot. It's my topping DX9, way overkill, but it looked okay. I've had the what the heck did I just get the pop-up for? I got no idea. Discord just pinged me for what I can tell is no apparent reason. I don't know. Discord doing Discord things, apparently. And normally I have it where it's facing me this way. So like the ports are not, right now they're facing the front of the desk, so you plug it in like this. Normally they're facing, I plug it into the left, right? Which could kind of angle it towards me and make it a bit closer, actually. On this setup, they're facing, like, they basically have to take a right angle right away to get to me. Yeah, so I found, because I had to get, if you're running the Wagness cables were only available in the lengths that they are available in. Those have no customizability. They have 2 different wire types. And there you go. It's 150 centimeter or 250 centimeter. So 150 cm, 2 inches, 2.3. So that's 60 inches. Let's go feet. 4.9. That's the one I got. And then the 250 is 8 foot. Considerably more expensive too, because they use very high quality cables over there. I'm not a huge fan of the Wagness, like the actual I got one of each, a thicker one and a thinner one, and one's too bulky and heavy, and the other one is, though lighter weight, is basically inflexible. Like, so my plan there though is we got the connectors. If it ever does break or something happens to it, because Paisley likes to just chomp, I will just send the broken cable over to Audio, and they can take the connectors off and make, one of their cables with it, hopefully. That's my thought, at least. I'm not going to, like, go and break the cable or anything like that, but and I was trying to get, like, apparently you can buy the connectors, but, like, getting them not as another, like, in the US. Actually, I could probably get them to me. The issue is getting them from Japan straight to the UK. I have stuff set up to import to myself, not really to send off to other people. But what we're 20 minutes in here, we're going to talk about is the sound differences between the R70XA and the original R70X. If the thinner ear cups were a problem for you with the original R70X, the R70XA is not going to fix that because they are the exact same ear cups. They are orientated differently, as I just schwack PP there. They are orientated differently, whereas on the R70X, the thicker part is very much in the back here, like back here, right? Like back side of your ear, and the thin part's in the front. The R70XA, as I went over in the first video, is more like thinner on the top and wider on the bottom. You know, so like and it kind of makes sense to an extent. And the reason for that is if you did watch my apparently quite lengthy R70X refined video, you'll see that without modification, it doesn't actually close up on the underside of the ear with a decent size head. Apparently, I have a bigger head. Not as big as I saw somebody else in the past. I've seen the R70Xs get mangled. People actually like take out the wings and then they'll cut these off, literally cut them off. Guys, they're screw holes. You don't have to do that. You could just take it apart. And then this is basically acting as their headband, and some of them will put like a thin cloth or leather over that and wear that directly on their head because their heads are that big. Crazy, if you ask me. I saw somebody doing in one of the reviews doing the same thing with these. For those that complain too about the original R70X, I think these fit better than the R70X Refine. Because the Refine, to put on those thicker pads, they didn't change any of the ergonomics of the actual shape of the headband and the headphone themselves. I think this fits my head natively better. There is far less clamp force on an R70XA. And if you watch my R70X Refined video, you'll see I actually had significantly reduced the clamp force there, which did make them fit my head correctly. I did have to do a slight amount of that, and I talk about that in the video, to my original R70Xs. For those that are very familiar, you may notice it's a little less pointed up here. That is because a clamp force on this can just basically, if you just squish down here a little bit, it'll just widen it a little bit. Brand new ones of these, and you can see that in the R70X Refine video, are like, there's actually like a point up here. So, and I made it just slightly flat right there, and beautiful fit for me. And I even got the dangly bits on the ears. I don't have amazingly huge ears by any means, but the fit of these is really nice. I actually like the snug fit. It's amazing, though, how much in the change they managed to make the R70X lighter going to the R70XA, right? But the other very, very crazy impressive thing is how much lighter it feels in your head because of, I don't know if it's because of this like how they're doing this suspension and because you can actually adjust it. Whereas on this, they're basically counting on these to move it up and down on your head. Like basically pressure from these keeps this on the correct height on your head. And there's far more pressure, clamping force on the side. If you notice, I do have a mod mic. That's a mod mic wireless guy on there. I do use these all the time like that. No problem. I use the Refines that way. MV1, how it fits around your ears and how it clamps, a little bit, I would say it's better for that. But no problems there. But where this pair, the XAs, like they kind of just float on your head because there's a little bit of clamping force, right? but it's only enough to kind of like push on your ears a little bit, right? And then up top here, it's mostly like hanging from your head. That's why you adjust to the right height. And then the clamp force here is just enough to kind of like, oh, if you can knock pee-pee down. But like here, it won't even hold itself on that mic, right? Like, see. Whereas if we go with the R70 here, this guy's like, I can pin it upright. It clamps so hard. Look at that. That's why these will probably never get the mod mic mount on there. I don't think there's enough clamp force in them with how much lighter they are and how much lighter fit it is on your head to support the extra weight off to one side that the mod mic can cause. It's not a ton. I can show you here. Right, in this case, there's zero, that's what these do. Look, zero pressure on my head because the clamp force of the cups is holding in the right place. This is just to prevent them from like sliding and slipping and stuff like that. But you can basically wear them without these. That's why people have chopped them off. If you have a real big head, you can. But whereas this is the exact opposite. And that's why I think these feel so much lighter, because it's actually suspended at the top of your head rather than clamping the side down. I've said before, I really like the older design Beyerdynamics with the bear hug style. So I don't mind this at all. Look, I mean, it's sealed down here. You know, I can, maybe the tip of my finger can get in there, and one of them, if I go just behind, like kind of where your temple's up here. What's the thing behind your ear where it's like there's that spot? I can fit one like half a nail length in there. If you watch my refine video, you would see that a stock refine, I could like fit my whole hand up in there. But yeah, see, look, no, it's suspended there perfectly. I would actually argue that this pair of headphones holds this better than the MV1s, though. Yeah, these just feel at home. They're a little bit bigger, but they cup a little bit. I like the reference. Fact that these are open backs but fit like closed backs. Really cool, unique. So this even, you can see it's got it's not as solid of a fit. Those R70 original R70x has a good amount of clamp to it, which will, like I said, that'll probably make it so I never. Oh, and here's the Wagness. You can see Wagness logo on the cable there, and see it gets kind of like it has memory to the wire, right? And that's the other end of the Wagness. You could really use anything here. It's this end that's special. 4.4 mil screw on locking connector. I think there's one other brand. Oh, and here's this blue wire. It gets kind of frayy and kinky. I keep the black one on the M1ST because it's more durable. It's thicker. That's at the office. But that one too, it doesn't get kinky, but it has like a memory, like where it wants to be like drooped instead of like I couldn't do that with it. Let's put it that way. So on to, I'm going to audition a number of tracks now. I don't know, stuff like I don't have foobar set up on here, so apologies. I'm only going to have no, maybe we can set that up. Do. No, that's stopped. Do we have foobar at all installed? No. No, we don't. Firefox app data. Yeah, I haven't done jack diddle squat, and if I just rock bare bones foobar, it's gonna be basically impossible to manage the library. So we're just going to use iTunes. And you're like, iTunes? Yeah. For those that don't know me, 5.5 gen, 500 gig iPod Classic. So, and it only runs lossless. That does mean we're limited to like CD quality though, because the iPods do not like greater than CD quality. This is, I mean, we're using the same tracks, literally the same pair of headphones. And here's the other thing. The one kind of thing about the DX9, it has independent amps for each output. So I can have the R70x's on 4.4 millimeter and the R70x's on XLR, and I could even have a 1/4-inch jack, and they would all be getting full power. And heck, I could turn on dual XLRs and dual RCA's too at the same time. It is way overkill. With how good it is, though, I do wish they would make like a mini version. You know, like a DX9 mini that halves all that. And that's basically a DX7 Pro Plus, but it doesn't have the same vibes, you know, vibes. If you guys have, like, I have a really nicely configured foobar 1. A lot of those plugins and mods and features and stuff were not, like, they were discontinued before 1 was even, you know, they went to 2. So if you have any suggestions on themes, let me know, because the one that I was using is, it looks like a Zune player. So that's kind of the vibe I'm going for. It also needs to be sorted. Needs to have an option to sort by album artist, because sorting by artist is AIDS. Just put it that way. We'll see you in a bit. All right, so we actually ran out of time. I dicked around a lot, and actually got my foobar back up and running. Had to go back to the old, was like 1.5 32-bit or whatever. Really need to find a stuff for 2.0 that I like. Gotta make sure all my plugins and stuff for DSD and that sort of stuff works with the 64-bit as well, though. So if you guys have any hints, tips, tricks for that, because I really had my 1.5 or 1, I think it's like 1.6 something dialed in. But with this, I started going through. I wish I could do more, but it was ready. A couple hours. I actually got listening into it, especially once I got my foobar up and running here. As I was able to get high res. Yeah, there we go. PP back. I was able to get high res, even DSD going there. Didn't have to. Something's up on my network currently, though, which is mildly annoying. So, a couple times I lost. Paisley's really wanting to sit down because she wants my attention, because we should have been sitting down and watch anime by now. So she's clawing me, trying to get my attention. Hey. Yeah, she's schwucking me too. She's getting feisty. Hey. What are you doing? What's this? Yeah, sorry about that. But what I was trying to do was just do a sweep through. There's some stuff that I regularly listen to for all of these. One track I've listened to previously on these because obviously I've had them for a couple weeks now. The Zaza and Boys is "I Don't Want to Be With You" single. Yep. Let me give me one. So this is basically what I was doing is just popping between these. Because I can do true A/B because they're basically the same headphones. I don't have to worry about volume independently and stuff like that. All right, so that just confirms that. But what I was doing is I was going through genres. So started out with jazz, since I do listen to quite a bit of jazz, Japanese jazz to be. I mean, some American stuff's tossed in there, but very familiar with Soil and Pimp Sessions' entire discography. If you have a very nice pair of headphones, and you do enjoy, some jazz or instrumental stuff, take a listen to "Love Immediately." It's the first track on "Brothers and Sisters," from Soil and Pimp Sessions. That on a good pair of speakers or a good pair of headphones. I remember when I got my R70x's, actually, that was like the track. That was like, wow. Like $350 headphones are like, they're actually in a different league than traditionally. Like I was buying $100 to $200 pair of headphones. Kind of like your DT-770s, 990s, 880s. In that range, right? And I was just like, wow. So give that. I mean, that whole album is amazing. Let that transition into Apple Gravitate, Core of a Star or something like that. That transition in that track's really good as well. One of Soil Pimp Sessions' newer albums, Dapper. It's a little bit more pop, modern. And they have a track that's called "Heaven on Earth," which has Awich in it, who's probably rap R&B. Very unique, very amazing track. They have a second disc of that limited edition, has it live as well. I didn't listen to that when I went with the. Even though I enjoyed that one more, I'm trying to listen. The studio albums are going to be a little bit more clean. And I did listen to the lead-in of "A New Day" because it leads straight into "Heaven on Earth." Then from there we went with "Essence of Soil," which is one of their newest albums, if not their newest. I'm trying to remember. And let me pull this up here real quick. Yeah, 2021. I think "Essence of Soil" is their latest one. Kitty Bay has some really interesting distortion on it, so I was listening to that. And Inner Glimpse, which is once again Soil and Pimp Sessions, and a lot of albums should be this way, but they always have like this just kicker banger of an opening that just draws you into the whole album. So listen to both of those on there. Then we went over to like reggae, calypso, dash of ska with "Your Song Is Good." We've got on album "Come On," Papa's Groove, and "Shortcake Part 1. Then we've got their album "Hot Hot Hot," and I was listening to "The Hot." One remix I did go for was off of their extended album "Changa Changa," and there's a disco remix there. Tokyo ska, which so now we're going from like reggae calypso into ska, and I would say like some of Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra stuff actually gets into jazz, reggae, depending on what album you're listening to from Tokyo Ska Para. It's going to be pretty much any of the various versions of ska. Like there's different generations and type. They're going to have, like, they've been doing it I think since the late 80s. So they've been through all of the so we did orchestra, and they have Abracadabra. I love the orchestra album. That is one of the few that is not has been not like remastered or re-released or anything like that yet, which I'm bummed on, because that was actually one of the first ones I really latched onto for them. Then Paradise Has No Border, which is a newer one. Went with that I can't read. I'm gonna have to look this one up. Sometimes I had to rewrite stuff here because I write very scribbly. Believer. I should probably clear that up there. I took a look at some of my tracks I saved as like just like really good tracks, and then on Joke or Junker Gem, I did use Free. I don't know if I'll use that one again. It does have a Japanese female vocalist in there, so it did give me, and I think traditionally like a pop vocalist. I might be wrong there, but gave a little bit of a difference in there, or like then from there we went to Special Others, which is like jazz rock. So their album Quest Lauren Tech, they're very well known for that track. That track is actually on like AKG's Asian Kung Fu Generations, like one of their compilation albums with them. Special Others as well. Their one of their first albums, Ben Cacao. That's a very good track. Then we went on to rock, like AKG, Asian Kung Fu Generation, World, Night Diving is a just great track. And then there's one of their singles, Uso to Wonderland. Listened to that single, Uso to Wonderland. Now here's where that's kind of where I started running out of time. Had to go to the normal ones I listened to from 9mm Parabellum Bullet, which is one of my all-time favorite J-rock bands. Vampire is from like 2008. That is where I started with them. The Wonderland opening track on there, really, really good vibes. Actually ended up being a ED for an anime. Real Drive. It's about like diving. Done by the production ID that did Ghost in the Shell. But and then that went into Vampire Girl, which is a very popular track of theirs. Then we went into some like metal / heavy like hard rock with Sex Machine Guns. I've been I've been listening to these for a while. I didn't really have enough time to dip into, like, I wanted to go through like something from each of, maybe not each of the bands, but at least various genres. Like I have some prog rock with Gelneris. We've got some like all female bands. We've got some female ska. Like Large House Satisfaction has a very interesting rock sound. We got some math rock. We got like I wanted to get through all that, but or we got some interesting stuff from like Uplift Spice or the Mus with a very interesting Japanese female vocalist. Velt Punch has some downright bangers. I could keep listening because these sound amazing. That's what I'll reiterate. Like the R70X's sounded really good. They were also very, very listenable. I will say, with what you do gain with the R70XAs, they do become. I would agree with some of you that have said that they have lost. Like they're actually like harder to listen to. Like the R70XAs are like more harsh. Um, they're still accurate, but I almost feel like it's kind of like if you have like a what did I wrote it down here. Um like you have a condenser, not a condenser microphone, but like a condenser on a mic that kind of like squishes it down. And that's kind of how our original R70Xs are so listenable is I feel like they're just slightly condensed, and when they did that, they kind of like took off the sharp, rough edges, just a little bit, if that makes sense. For general use, I would probably say they're better, because they're gonna be less fatiguing. I'm not saying these are fatiguing. There are, like, I would say a pair of like DT990s is quite fatiguing. Or even like some people would say like an MDR V6 is. I would disagree there. But I've done in D2000s, stuff like that is generally known for being fairly treble heavy, though flat response. But the bigger thing here is the thing I noticed right away with the R70XA is it has more sustain, and like the bass and everything else carries. So like imagine you got a bass drum in your boom, or not bass drum, a bass guitar, boom 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 boom. That in on the R70X, it kind of like it plays the note and it's there, but the R70XA's like it carries. It's and then like I would say almost say like the R70X, not the XAs, have like a roll off. Like it goes, instead of going buh, it goes buh. And it's not harsh, you don't notice it, but it like just doesn't hang on to it. And that kind of plays into like because I was listening to especially a lot of jazz. Some Pimp Sessions isn't just like standard, it's not standard jazz, but listeners, they like mix pop, they mix a bunch of different things into it. But it is very clean. It's got that, I don't want to say jazz aesthetic, but you can pick out individual instruments at a single time very, very, very easily. So like the R70X might have tighter basses, but it rolls off much quicker. So bass carries on the XAs. I would say though, I saw some complaints that it gets a bit sibilant. I wouldn't say it has sibilance like basically all the Beyerdynamics do, like DT770s, 880s, 990s. Just the style of that driver. As somebody who listens to like ska, jazz, reggae, calypso, kind of, and much more instrumental. I listen to a lot of music, especially when working, that is very little vocals or no vocals. Once I like kind of like noticed and hung on that Beyerdynamic, that's actually why I can kind of get along with those Pro X's, the updated one with the new Stellar 45 driver. It's specifically a thing with the older drivers that are in there. With the reason why there's like more sustain on the bass on the S70X is the whole sound feels like overall sound feels. And I'm starting to get into like audiophile terms, but these are like so very similar to each other, right? The sound is lighter, more lifted. It floats a little bit, not in a bad way. Like it's not floating too long, like it's not being held there, right? And it's got like an ambient airiness to it. That's what I mean by like floating. Like for example, the sustains even on the cymbals, like very noticeable on cymbals. As somebody like I played drums, up into college. So something like doing a crash on a ride cymbal, that like has this carry to it, where and it should until unless they stop it or play similar notes on it, it should just sit there and go kind of like a gong when you just hear it keep going and going after the fact. That it is there on these, right? And on the R70Xs, to like make that like a not a noticeable thing, they almost like cut that off somehow with the tuning. I don't know how to explain why or how it gets cut off. XAs have like a more open soundstage. But it's not just the soundstage; it's like more open in general. That's where, like the airiness comes in. Like their sound profile presentation is more open. Like there's just like more of it, not louder, but like more. Like why? What? It's you can just basically like hear more out of the music. And like I said, here's my note about the condenser. Like R70Xs just sound like, in order to get that smoother sound, it's like just condensed and kind of like rounded off a little bit. Like anything that could be a little bit rough, a little bit sibilant, a little bit distracting, is just kind of so something that I could tell with like R70X, like there's parts where in the track with Awich that I said that'd be Heaven on Earth, where she's coming in vocally, and what ends up happening there is the drums end up backing her, so the drummer is actually hitting it harder, just like, because before it was like really relaxed and light, and not necessarily louder, right? It's a little bit slightly louder, but you can just tell by the type of the you can tell the type of the hit. Let's put it that way. And I can hear that on these XAs, and you can tell that it might be getting a little bit louder, but you can't tell that, like, because like as one instrument, I forget offhand which instrument it was backing off. You can tell he's just playing a little bit with a little bit more gusto. As they back like the rap vocals. White more smooth. A lot of this stuff is like when you're listening to like, okay, because I play drums, often I will listen specifically to those, but so like the hi-hat is lighter and more smooth on the XAs. You can hear just like more to like the clear hi-hats, cymbal, snares, like that resonance all those things have to them. You just get more of that. So the another thing is on one of the other tracks, you'll hear like I don't remember if it's Inner Glimpse, but there'll be a double octave piano. On the XAs, you can actually hear that they're playing a double octave, right? Like you can hear that it's bum bum. Whereas on the X's, I didn't readily notice. Like once I heard it on here, I could kind of like listen to those and get it out, but those just sounded like one note. I mean, they are the same note; they're just on different octaves. But you couldn't tell that they're doing a double octave. Whereas on these, like it was like you can tell that they're doing purposefully. Like you can hear that. Um, that like the actual like how they're playing it. Now, and that's where it can actually get like jarring or annoying because you're actually hearing how the artist is actually like playing the instrument. And this is especially apparent because in these cases, like this would be like pianos coming in, and it's opening maybe with a little bit of other stuff with it. Another thing is you can actually hear, on the XAs, you can hear like stick work on the cymbals, whereas these solo Pim Sessions tracks, you could hear the sound of the hitting of the cymbal, but you couldn't actually hear like the finesse. And there is like a certain way to do different tiles, the things you actually like get that out. And we're at 34 minus 34 dB on this, both headphones. They have the same, effectively. They're the same, when it comes to response and all that sort of stuff. From what I recall, it's actually like they just opened up the driver, like it's the same driver effectively, but they just made it like there's literally like not stuff in the sides. We kind of went over this in the original unboxing video of them. So on like the very top end of a range of a piano, there's a bit of twinkle in it. I don't know how to describe that better, but which definitely could be considered like annoying or harsh once again. That wasn't there on the R70Xs. And there's so it's like getting way up there, way up there, and it's actually getting like a little. I don't know if you've heard, like, for those who've heard piano in real life, like that's a thing that exists. So this is kind of like reinforces like the R70Xs, I believe, if you read reviews too, are actually like more accurate, technically speaking. But I would say if you're like listening to the music, the XAs will bring like they're going to give you more soundstage, more ambience, more like what did they read? Predecessor, refined accuracy and detail, providing a heightened listening experience with precise imaging and depth. Depth would be the main one there that I would put a point on. One of the tracks from some Post Sessions also had a drum solo. It was like a jazz drum solo, and you could get like with the XAs, you'd actually get that initial snap you get from the kick drum hit, not just the later on kick drum sound. Like it's a really dampened kick drum, right? And whereas on the R70Xs, not the XAs, you would only get that really dampened kick drum hit. And this is like only something I can I don't know, maybe some of you can pick this up without playing drums, but this is something that I pick up because I play drums. Because I know like once you dampen to get like the right sound out of it, some of these instruments, especially like percussion instruments, you start getting to the point where like I'm not gonna say it's too much. They got a very good sound out of it, but like because I understand the instrument, I can draw some of those conclusions from it, I guess. But with the sound of the R70Xs, some of these like additional things, like it's just a little bit rounded and smoothed over somehow. Like I said, that's kind of like what you would do with like a condenser for a microphone. And by the way, this is not, to be clear, this is not me saying the R70X sounds bad. It does not. It actually, to some of you, might be easier to listen to, better for regular daily use, because it isn't picking all this stuff up. And like, if you've ever listened to like a DT-770 and then went to a DT-990, which is like the open back, and 990s have really wide sound stage and stupid crazy separation. Like some people would argue that the separation on a DT990 is too much, and it actually makes it like because you can just pick out instruments, right? That's not a good thing necessarily. So we're not to that drastic differences. I'm just saying that listening to these two, literally the same volume, same amp, same track, putting on the head, taking it off, sometimes rewinding a little bit. That's what I'm seeing between the two. Like, the one thing that really does help too is these are, for me at least, for my head, and one of the reviews I did read that actually did compare them to R70Xs because they had reviewed those. They said for them the headband did not work. For me, it's bellissimo. For them, they're like, it is adjustable, but it's not adjustable enough. This is one thing I did want to share in the original video that I knocked PP off the arm here. But there is some cup swivel. If you see there, like there's actually like a bow tie cutout in the top of the plastic adjustment. So some people looked at these on Reddit and were like, oh, with it like this, it can't adjust, because there's no swivel, right? Except there is, because they gave it play. There's like I said, there's like a amount of bow tie room where it's got a couple of degrees. Now, a lot of, some people are like, that's not enough swivel. I mean, that's quite a bit. Just because, and another thing to be aware of is, like, though the R70Xs do have these circular, like, rotatey things, right? They don't actually swivel that much. It's only that to that. So I don't think that's hugely different than what that sort of bow tie cutout achieved. You guys can let me know there. Yeah, there is definitely more instrument separation. Something like now we're on to like Your Song Is Good. With the kind of calypso thing, they're using like electric organs. You can actually get in the XAs, you actually get the hum of the electric organ in the kind of like in the play of the notes, whereas you don't in the X's, the R70X's. Like you can see where like it should be, because you listen on these, where it should be. You can kind of like pick it up, but and you can pick up stuff like when they release, because there's going to be a slight, it's not just on and off, because it's a proper key, right? And you actually pick that up, and that's not something you can do on the just standard R70Xs. Let's see, like, so there's a much more ambient, when I say airy too, there's much more ambient sound to the R70XAs. So stuff in the background is actually more present. Like, it gets pulled forward a little bit. That does make some vocals recess slightly more. Depending on the track, that can work for or against it. You get a much better vibe feeling from the instruments with these than you do the R70Xs. The R70XA, you can actually get like a vibe for how they're playing it. This kind of stuff I like to hear from live tracks, not because a lot of studio recordings can be very stale. That's why I want to listen to the live stuff. Like on the disco remix for Your Song Is Good, the bass track was much more driving. Like it actually had like a driving punch to it. But like not a surge, but like it had that feeling. Whereas on the R70s, it was just bass that was amplified by the disco remix, sort of. Whereas it was actually like it had these are more feeling, I guess, would be one of the things here. It's definitely, I said that, yeah. Trumpet is a bit more rough and sharp. A sax has more feel to it. Like there's just more to everything. I would say when I was listening to the female vocalist over Tokyo Ska, it started getting a little bit sibilant, I would say, which and whereas the R70Xs just blended that together a bit better. There wasn't that sharp contrast. I'm gonna say that like the closer you get to rock, especially pop rock, the less it matters. So it, you know, so the because there's just more. I don't know if there's just more going on, or the style of music, or how it's mastered. But the closer we get to just rock, the less it seems to be noticeable and matter. Separation still not as good on the R70Xs compared to the XAs. The XAs are still lighter. Guitar picking is tight but ambient somehow. Like it's got this just better feel to it. Like I said, if you like distortion on a guitar though is much more apparent. Like it's more distorted. And if there's like a recessed vocals, they're going to be even more recessed. Something like 9mm Parabellum Bullet, especially there's, like I said, the Vampire album, which is like, that's kind of like peak, especially like, it was Green Day's American Idiot was around then, The Pills, My Foot, where all these huge, like, there are albums with like 5 number 1 tracks on, right? Around that time too, that was like, in general, 9mm tends to have like a more compressed sound to them than smaller bands. Like I think like stuff like Bump of Chicken. I love listening to them live, but if you listen to their stuff like the opening, I think it's Arcadia, that they did for Pokemon, as the new opening. I think that'd be not the current one, but the one before that. That is overproduced. You can see there were way too many cooks in the kitchen. It did its purpose, but when they play it when they do that live, it's much better because it's like tweaked to, like they couldn't have any hair sticking out, so they give it a buzz cut, sort of thing. So something like 9mm, especially in that era. Like if you listen to their older stuff, it's a bit more raw. You listen to their live stuff, there's much more feeling to it. Some of the really newer stuff, I know the vocalist has had to have a surgery and stuff like that. So that's, you can hear a little bit of a change in the voice there, as somebody's listened to them for quite some time. Now then we did get to Sex Machine Guns, and that's metal, right? Listen to a couple tracks from them, and I will say it does sound fuller. That is a big thing. Just the range on the R70xAs is bigger, both low and high. Like there's like I said, there's just more. So things down low that would, and this isn't necessarily related to the metal, but some of my earliest notes are the bass, like it has more sub bass and it goes down lower and it carries for longer. And same thing up top too. That does apparently make a little bit of a U, right? Whereas some might say the R70X is more accurate within what it's doing, right? But there's like the R70XA is doing more. Like, and that's where like depth comes in. Imaging would be soundstage, and separation. It especially if you want to listen to the instruments, and a lot of the music I do is either instrumental or very like rhythmic singing, if that makes sense. That that sort of stuff, where you want to listen to the actual instruments more, pick up the R70x's. If you want to use it all day every day, I would probably actually agree with some of you that the R70x's are probably the better choice, because they purposely have that sort of like, and that was something, I don't know if I even have a video on, but like way back when I first got them, or if I've brought them up in previous videos I've done on audio equipment, I was always very impressed with how accurate they could be while still not being fatiguing at all. Like, as in, I could wear them all day and then video game for 4 hours after and no issues. Which, like, say for the M1STs from Sony, yep, definitely probably not going to be able to do that. And they're stupid lightweight. Like, when these came in, when I originally got them, they came to Geek Squad because we'd ordered them for was customer, but the customer was an employee. Or like, how are these durable? They're way too lightweight. These are even lighter. For me at least, because it does fit my head and it fits my head very, very well. They even feel lighter because it is suspended off the. See, if I go here, we're drooping, like, because this part's drooping down. It's suspended off the top of your head, which for me is better. As much as I do like the bear hug style. My camera just decided it doesn't want to focus anymore. Like I said, I like the pro aerodynamics, not the premiums, because they hug you a little bit more. How this distributes it around here and how they made it lighter and it actually feels lighter. Like, that's where I said definitely replace your cable. It doesn't even feel like you're wearing anything really. Whereas this, I showed you, once it's clamped on your head, these are almost free. So you definitely have something pushing there. It's even worse. I shouldn't say it's bad, but the refines, if you don't modify those, in my opinion, unless you have a real skinny head, they're going to be crushing you, and there's not going to be... They actually sound worse. People are like, oh, but they're open back, so seal doesn't matter. Seal of the headphone still matters. It needs to direct the sound in your ear hole, not out the bottom. So that's where I'm at. Is daily use. I mean, like, I prefer this, like, because I have played musician instruments, been in jazz, concert band, German band, marching band, all that sort of stuff. Like to get that feel out of those instruments on the especially some of those more intimate jazz tracks is like interesting and beautiful and that sort of stuff. By the way, I did not compare these to like the MV ones that are there. I got some other stuff. That video is not for this. It's specifically for those people out there. Like, if you liked the R70X, like I did, used it for however many years I mentioned in the previous video, basically until the refines came in. I want to say it was 2018. Basically, very shortly after they came out, I snatched them, and they were my main headphones. Didn't even replace the ear cups. The only time I replaced them was when I got the refines, because I did notice they were a little bit squished, and I really wanted to give them, the refine and those a proper comparison. So I personally fully into these. As if you want that more compressed, because like I said, I was impressed and still am to this day how good the R70X's sound and how accurate they are, but not fatiguing they are. At the end of this listening session, which is a couple hours, definitely fatigued a little bit. Now, I am listening probably a little bit louder than I normally would, and purposely listening to stuff, like to analyze it. Like, as I brought up, I'm listening to like specific parts of tracks, listening to specific instruments. That is a little bit more fatiguing just in general, because you're trying to find stuff. I would agree though with Audio-Technica. that refined accuracy and detail, providing a heightened listening experience with precise imaging and depth. Definitely more detail, definitely more depth. Like, all of that is true, but those two things, like, it's surprising how you only kind of with devices start finding how different they are when they're so close. And this is definitely one of those cases for me. As I was able to, same device, same output, compare directly back to back to back. So, one other thing I thought I would mention is, besides the rotating cup there, which I forgot to mention in the original unboxing video, is that there is also now, finally, because remember, the R70X's was Audio-Technica's first, what do you want to call it? Like open back studio reference headphone, professional open back reference headphone. The only one they made too. Like, they had a specific team that worked on it. They also worked with the guys to do the refine. They do now have a R70x, which seems like a single-sided cable version closer to the R70x, not the R70xa. So if you can't find some R70x's, maybe look at the R50x's. They're cheaper as well. I haven't seen a review of it to see like how they compare. But hey, with the single sided, I prefer the dual sided. I've come to like this because it actually, like, you don't get like lopsided. I feel like because it comes centered, it actually, like, even though there's more cable, it's just more manageable, weighs less. I can understand why single sided can be more convenient in the studio and stuff like that. So I'm definitely interested in R70X, and then all the way down, R50X, as far as I can tell, has the 45 millimeter driver. I don't know if it's the R70XAs or the R70s. Looks closer. The build and design of those look like, basically, instead of having these though, like here, they have them coming off of here, like coming off of this part. But the design otherwise is very, 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 very similar. And then you have the R30X, which has 40 millimeter, not 45 millimeter drivers. And those have this headphone, the XA's headphone. So I think they've got some options for you. And I want to say the R30X's are, like, cheap. Hold on here. Professional open back. Browse all headphones. $100 for the R30X's. And then the R50X's still adjust up and down here with a headband like this, with foam guys here, and these go up and down. The coloring makes them look very more similar. Drivers look more similar to this, but I highly doubt they would put the same driver in a $160 headphone compared to a $350 headphone. But that would be something, because I have no reason really to pick up the lower end ones, since I have these. Extremely lightweight, pure open back design. Yeah, they just seem to be like a lower end version, kind of combining the R70X and the R70XA. It's good to see an open back with a reference sound, though, because I feel like that the reference sound is kind of going away. Because that sort of stuff came out of the 80s and 90s. And then especially in audiophile land, especially with Audio-Technica, they were building more audiophile headphones, which may be more fun but less accurate. And as somebody who, like I said, I've kind of listened to MDR V6 is 70506 is, I really like Sony's reference sound. And there is a difference between like flat and like a reference studio sound. But those might be more interesting to you. Like maybe give those a shot. As they finally have lower end ones. Before it was und R70x and only the R70x, which is also what made it intriguing to me. It's like out of nowhere, you know. Still not a bad pair of headphones if you have these. Same thing with the Refine. I know some of you commented in there like, oh, dang it, I finally got my hands on an R70x Refine, and these came out. I mean, if you think about it this way, R70x Refine is cheaper and rarer. These you can just buy. Whereas also with the R70x Refine, the sound profile may change a little bit because you're changing where the headphones are, like where your ear is in relation and how much isolation your ear and your head have from the speaker. It's not going to have the same effect that going to the XAs has. It's actually a completely different effect. I do believe I covered that in the video that maybe preceded this, if I can find it and upload it. Because according to my notes, it should already be out, like a month ago, but it wasn't. So that's kind of like there's that thing where it's like you can like I feel like the R70x Refine is like the John Cooper Works version of my Mini Cooper, right? Or even just like an S version or something like that. Whereas the XA is a completely new model year. That's like for a while my Mini Cooper S actually had more horsepower and than the John Cooper Works, because the John Cooper Works is still based on the previous generation of cars. That's kind of where we ended up with this, or thinking about too with modifying cars. Realistically, the Refines are just a pad swapped R70X, right? A little bit different colors and stuff like that. But modifying a car, you can make it faster, but often from a cost perspective, though the Refines are cheaper, you're going to get more, especially on the top end, by just buying a better car. And I feel like that's what they've done here is like, whereas the R70, the Refines were tweaking the original R70X. In this case, Audio-Technica took a look at the R70X and opened it up, really. And made the R70x's. Let me know what you think down below, and hopefully we'll see you in future videos. Comments, questions, and our Discord's always open. Peace.